Welcome back to another episode of Black Law and Legalize, where we specialize in getting back on track because we had heard y'all, right? We had heard it, y'all. And, we got to get the people what they want. They said, man, y'all be tripping and shit with that let hoe shit and that self-hate shit and all that other type of shit. So y'all need to get y'all act together because when I had subscribed it to y'all podcast, I had come to listen about the law, and now y'all just be talking about some old shit. And you know what? We back. Yeah, my name is Dan. I'm one of your hosts. Keep up with me on Twitter and IG at I am Dan on Drugs. Keep up with the show across all platforms at Black Law Podcast.
Oh wait, you got stuck on. Oh, I don't know what the hell I'm saying because my mind just playing tricks on me. What was that? Because for something that you say quite often, you really got stuck. You stopped. Anyway, I'm Just Dan, and I'm another one of your hosts. You can follow me on Twitter at I Tell Legal Lies, and as Dan said, you can follow the show across all social media platforms. See how smooth that was on not.
See, this the thing, right? I be on so many shows and shit
Yeah,
that I
whatever.
be forgetting where the fuck I'm at half the time.
Whatever. Anyway.
Like, I just did a podcast on another podcast that I ain't gonna say yet because it ain't out yet.
Oh,
and then,
geez.
I got the whole few screws loose situation, rocking the hat, few screws loose, and all that.
Wait, no. What's hard about saying across all social media platforms?
Man,
That's
look.
what you got stuck at. It has nothing to do.
See, I'm monitoring audio, video,
Whatever,
lighting,
man.
show notes. Yeah, y'all, we
Sure.
brought the notes back, y'all.
No,
we brought
he,
the notes back.
he brought the notes back. There are no reason to have the notes
Man,
because the notes don't do anything.
keeps us.
How's it keep us going forward? We're always going off on tangents. Look, right now we have show notes. And
right, and this
going
is
off.
in the
This
notes.
is
Look,
not-
look,
this is
back
not-
on track.
Really?
That's what it
This
says.
is the back on track part.
Yeah, back on track. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is our 3rd year anniversary. Somewhere's
it's our
about
anniversary.
there. And
hey,
I can tell you,
a day for
that
you and me.
podcasting for 3 years and how it's changed my life, let me tell y'all,
only make
it hasn't.
plans to
My life literally has
hold
not
you.
changed other than I'm on Twitter and Instagram all day. How has your life changed in the 3 years of podcasting?
That definitely means that your life has changed because now you are this social media presence. That is definitely a change from before.
No, I just talk shit on there. So,
No, so you still do it though.
talk shit, yeah. At
On
first, I was
so-
talking shit with people
On
couldn't
social
hear me.
media, correct. So that is a change that podcasting has made in your life. How has podcasting changed my life? I can 100% say that podcasting has not changed my life as significantly. I still don't have this huge social media presence, and that is purposely. I mean, if people talk to me on social media, I will talk back to them, but I'm not on there all the time. I can't be.
Why not?
What do you mean? Because I work.
I work too.
Nah, you don't.
I work too.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
So, all right, before we get into today's topic, right, which is protesters' rights, I'm going to see if you can answer this, right? Because I was asked this on said podcast, right?
Okay.
And I didn't have an answer. I made some shit up, I think. How did you and I become friends?
I almost kicked your ass.
Yeah, I doubt that ever happened. But see, she
Yeah.
made shit up too. Nobody knows
Yes,
how
nah.
this shit works. See?
Definitely. No, I could tell you exactly how we became friends.
No, you can't.
Yes, I
Because
can.
I can't. You
Just
gonna make some
because you-
shit up.
Just because
You're like,
you
oh,
can.
I almost kicked your ass.
No, that was purely made up. But no, we became friends by default, actually. So, because I don't even know if within the first year of our relationship, I would have considered you a friend. You were an associate, a work cohort, but not a friend. So, just, habit. Seeing your face every day basically is what it is.
So there you have it. It doesn't take much to be Anne's friend, y'all. All she has to do is see your face every day. Like,
Lies.
I got hit with that question, and I'm like, I usually, and I'm good on my feet. Like, I can boom, boom. Doesn't matter. Even if I'm making shit up, doesn't matter. I can move be on my toes. So I had to pause,
Because
and
you
I'm
were
like,
trying to tell the truth then.
nah, I was trying to say anything. And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. So
Wait, seriously, you really don't know?
no, I think I can't remember what I said, but it was something along the lines of a working relationship, and might have even been the same situation. Yeah, you be seeing them all the time and shit, and I did say, yeah, you was loud as shit, and somebody tried to kick you out the office one time, and just the response I appreciated because I'm all about messing ignorance, but anyway, protesters, right? So we've been protesting, and when I say we, I mean us as a people have been protesting for 400 years.
I was about to say all our lives.
But
Yes.
most recently, let's just, for the sake of argument, say we've been protesting the entire year of 2020. It was like one after another after another, and as soon as mainstream media drops one story,
People, there's another one.
yeah,
Right.
so we got Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud
Correct.
Arbery,
Ahmaud Arbery.
George Floyd,
Jacob
Jacob, was it Blake?
Blake.
And I think there's probably a few more in between. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, the guy in Atlanta.
oh yeah, in the drive-through, yeah,
Wendy's
that
drive-through.
dude.
Right.
There's just so many. So we've been protesting all year, and from my perspective, at least, how I've been looking at the official response to the protests, to me, it screams illegal. Like the way the NYPD was manhandling people, how Donald Trump sent his secret army out to Portland, and they're kidnapping people. I mean, I can't call it anything else than people, unmarked vehicles. They're not in uniform, snatching people up, throwing them in vans, and taking them to God knows where. Nobody
But
knows where.
if you think about that, that's been part of the history of African American people in their struggle since the beginning. Like from the time that we've actually started using our voices and protesting, there's always been, even though we're doing 100% what the Constitution tells us we have the right to do, we've always, our gatherings, our protests have always been looked at as red flags, something to quash, because, you have to keep the natives silent. You can't, as your president says, you can't let the inmates run the prison.
Mm-hmm.
So every time we speak up to let our voices be heard, we are looked at as criminals, so we are treated as such.
And you're doing it the wrong way, no matter how you do it. And I just had this, what do you call it? I had a unilateral conversation this morning with somebody, right?
Wait, you had the unilateral conversation,
or
somebody ran a monologue?
Yeah, I was a part of a monologue this morning, and going back to Colin Kaepernick and taking the knee, and how everybody's like, oh, he is so wrong. He's wrong. He's, get him off the field, get him fired, whatever. And now you have the entire NBA like, psh, y'all thought one player, even though it was years ago, y'all thought one player was bad. Watch this. Whole teams taking knees.
Right. But the thing is, the people who thought Cap was wrong still think Cap was wrong.
And the NBA.
And they think the NBA is wrong. They think baseball is wrong. They think hockey is wrong. Anybody.
Wait, hockey doing it too?
Man, I've seen something.
I don't know.
But what I said that to say is, anybody who does not fit their framework is subversive. We all a part of the Matrix. And Agent Smith is steadily trying to fit us back into the box. And every time you step outside, it doesn't matter who you are. Anything that you do that is not keeping in line with what the elite wants you to do is always going to be frowned
I'm sorry. I
upon.
refuse to call someone who lives in a fucking trailer elite. That's just me.
I'm not saying that,
No, I get it, but
I use that parenthetically.
I just wanted to make that clear. If your house has wheels, I do not consider you elite. No disrespect to our listeners whose homes have wheels. So, some definitions right off the top, right? So this is something that I looked up over the weekend, and just going with my train of thought, which is, a lot of this shit seems illegal. So
on the cops' part.
Right.
Okay.
And on the counter protesters' parts too, even though according, like, all of my information I got from the ACLU, and according to the ACLU, counter protesters have equal rights to
Correct,
protesters.
because the Constitution gives us the right to assemble.
First Amendment.
Right. It gives us the right to basically protest. That is what constitutionally we have the right to do. So if I have the right to protest for something, someone has the right to protest against it, as long as the police or the authorities treat both the protesters and the counter protesters exactly the same. Equal protection.
But then you see in places, I believe this was in North Carolina, where you have police going through the streets telling counter protesters, hey, y'all might want to get out of here because we're about to light shit up out here. So anyway, definitions. Starting with traditional public forums.
Mm-hmm.
That includes
sidewalks,
streets,
steps on government property,
mm-hmm. plazas,
mm-hmm.
public spaces, basically, mm-hmm. anywhere where you're able to be lawfully.
Right, because back in the day, you used to have a town square, and that's where, you heard the news and you did things of that nature. Now, we don't have so much a town square. Everything is our town square. Right. So you can go on any publicly accessible property.
Can your speech be limited on said property?
No, you can say what you want to say within reason. See, when you start talking constitutional law, not that things get shady, but there are so many things that have been litigated and so many things left unlitigated as far as the First Amendment is concerned. We talk about, even though we're talking about protesting, a big part of protesting is being able to say things, right? So we talk about freedom of speech, and people say, you can't tell me what I can and cannot say, but the law has limited the types of things that you can say. Like, hate speech is not something that you can say. The law has limited that. Sure, you have the freedom to say stuff, but you can't say things that could prove harmful. Like, you can't sit in a theater and scream fire, because that may lead to someone's death.
So you can't be the current president of the United States, basically.
Man, look, that, like I said, so rights, constitutional rights, as they stand, you have them, but public policy can limit the way you use them. So yes, you have the right to speak freely. You have the right to protest, but how you affect that protest, how you speak and how you affect that protest, that's all been litigated. The government can tell you how you can do it. So, yeah.
So private property,
right.
Of course, I can define that. That is private property.
So say you own a building, mm-hmm. and in your building you have, you lease your building to different businesses. So those businesses lease this property. That, in effect, they have a leasehold. That's something, an interest that they have in that property. You can't go inside their place of business and start saying anything you want to say because you are not in a public space.
And the same goes for on the job too. While you are at work, your speech can be limited. Even
That's
though
correct.
you'll hear people say it's my constitution. Like a lot of people, you see all these people that get aired out for being racist on the internet, and all of a sudden they want to scream free speech. You can't what I do in my personal life has nothing to do with the work. No, it reflects poorly on your company, and I'm sure your company doesn't want the heat that's about to come with this shit
Right. Well,
anyway.
you think about logically. That's like you have the right to watch porn all you want, but can you watch porn on your work computer?
I know 3 people at my company
You know,
who have done that.
Can you watch porn on your work computer?
One being a high level supervisor too, damn it, and I caught his ass.
And let it be all right. Like your company has policies against that.
Wait, we ain't gonna skip over this shit. I caught this nigga at his desk. No lie, y'all. This is true story. I will put my hand on a Bible and my other hand on a Quran, right?
That dude said, on God.
Like, I'm telling you, I come back from lunch, right?
Oh, here you go.
One of the supervisors in the office thought that the door was locked. It was locked, but it was ajar. So I pushed my way in, and I go poke my head into his office to tell him, yo, I'm back from lunch. You need me to? Yo, this dude got a big set of titties on his screen under his desk, dick in his hand, and we want to talk about some, and he's like scrambling, and you know, everybody knows what a little red X is, but when you got porn on your screen and somebody come in behind you, you can't find it. Can't find the red X.
You can't find it.
So he talking about some, yeah, check our firewall. Look at what I can pull up on my computer. Our firewall should be blocking this type of stuff. So just go look up porn on your computer and see what comes up, man. We got to find out how to block this shit. All without moving. Like he all the way under his desk at this point. Like, I hope he doesn't see my dick in my hand while I'm saying this. And expecting me to buy that shit. So I guess at some companies you can, if you're high level, you can jerk off. So private property, private owners and jobs can limit your speech. Same goes with police officers too. You see a lot of any public servant, you see a lot of people saying, yo, why don't more police officers speak up? Why don't more people in the system speak up? And believe it or not, they can't. And as far as talking to the media, they I know back home it's in their SOPs, you cannot, unless they're what's it called? I wanted to say advertising department, their media department, whatever it's called, okays it ahead of time and says, yo, yeah, you can talk to the news about whatever. So
the communications department.
Public something. Shit. Public relations, PR. And so you have to get an okay. And I also see not a lot, but I've seen a handful of police officers on other people's podcasts talking about police work. Be careful, y'all. Don't get nobody fired out here. I mean, not that I care if a cop gets fired, but if they are one of the ones trying to make a change or one that looks like us, be very careful because technically in most areas, they're not allowed to be on your podcast. So with that being said, back in public places, can you photo, video, police officers? You'll see people holding up their phones.
And then the cops try to actually snatch phones and things like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can photograph, you can video. They cannot tell you to stop. They can. Now here's the thing where video may become illegal. Voice. Right. So, in a lot of states, we are a one-party state, by the way, in the state of Louisiana. Basically, what that means is as long as one party that's involved in the conversation knows that is being taped, then you can tape a conversation. There are some states that are two-party states, meaning all parties involved have to know that the conversations are being taped.
I think
So
California might be a good example. I believe there are
two
two-party
parties.
states.
So what happens is when you video the audio, not the video itself, the audio from that video may be illegal as far as the wiretapping laws of the state that you're in. So if you are videoing something and you're putting it out there on social media, in other venues, be careful.
Now, question. Can something like that, all right, say you are in a two-party state, you have, let's just use Rodney King, the Rodney King beating on tape, and you hear everything that's going on, everything they're saying, right? Can that be used as evidence?
It was used as evidence, and it could. Now, see, that's the thing. As far as law enforcement is concerned, if you notice that most of the time when police go out and they look for CTV, most CTV doesn't have audio.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why most CTV does not have audio is because of exactly what I just said. So you have, nowadays, everybody has a cell phone. Well, most people have cell phones with cameras, so picture and video capabilities. You are videoing this and then you turn it over to the police. The police will use it. They will use it. They have the ability to do so.
So they can get around it. So,
Right.
all right. Now, we do see this a lot on social media, especially when someone's filming cops come straight over to them, stop filming. They'll either attempt to grab the device, or they'll, like, I just found this out too from somebody that knows police procedures very well. There's a name for it, but it's basically a dummy. You're just going to go stand in front of whoever is recording. You're just going to go stand there and block their view of the scene. That is your job. And it has a name too. I can't remember what the name.
You know, with the advent of all of these videos being leaked on social media, a lot of police forces began doing this. Because they don't want there to be something other than my chest camera that falls off conveniently,
or isn't on,
right, or has not been turned on. They don't want any outside evidence. But even barring your video evidence, everything is wired these days. I mean, there is closed circuit TV everywhere these days. People have Ring cameras. People have
Arlo.
Right, Arlo, other home video deterrent systems. They are all over the place these days. So a lot of times it's funny because I say this all the time. It's like you have to be crazy to do something these days because there are eyes everywhere. It's like 1984. George Orwell is like, they're there. It's everywhere.
And what's crazy too is I would have expected a huge spike in crime because of the mask mandate. Right now, it is not unusual to see someone with a bandana over their face, hat on. Like, I went to the doctor the other day and I walked up in there with my hat on, a black face mask that comes up to under my eyes. There's no way you would have been able to identify me.
Yeah, but you know what's funny too about that situation is when the mask mandate first went into effect, there were a lot of people that said that they were not going to mask up, especially people of color, because they were afraid that they would be targeted because of the way they look with these, masks on. And traditionally, you go and rob a bank or you go and rob a grocery store, you throw on a bandana and a hat and you go in or whatever. So it is surprising to me that you don't see people, like I walk down the street or I walk into a Walmart or something like that, and you see people like that, and people don't shy away. And so it's like the very first time I saw that amazed me. And I know this is a sidebar, but it amazed me because I was in a Walmart I was in a predominantly white Walmart. It was in, a predominantly white area of the city.
Wait, hold on.
So
New Orleans. Where's the predominantly white
man,
Walmart?
they have predominantly white spots, bruh.
Chapatulas? That's what you talking about?
Old
Chapatulas?
Old
They
Metairie
ain't got
is
no Walmart.
let me tell you something.
They got a special one.
Names have been changed. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. It wasn't particularly a Walmart. I was using Walmart as a generalization.
Gotcha.
It was a store.
Because they got that park, right? That park that we used to work out. That shit is hidden. And I've been down here for what, 20 years? I might have heard it mentioned twice.
And they don't talk about it much because they don't want y'all there. Because no, the Chapatulas Walmart is about as ghetto as they come.
All of them.
So
you walked in with your mask on and people like,
no,
hi, how are you?
I was already in the store, but there was like a group of young black men that walked into the store. They all had bandanas on and baseball caps. And I like stopped just to see the reaction. Right? And it was like there wasn't much of one. And I'm like, well, alrighty.
So
okay.
It's being normalized. So I'm surprised that there hasn't been a spike in crime, especially knowing now that all these cameras, these city cameras, cannot really accurately identify a face.
Mm-hmm.
So with the photos and videos,
mm-hmm.
one thing I do know is the police are not allowed to confiscate your footage, your devices.
Right.
They are not allowed to demand that they look at it either. They can't say.
Well, they can demand, we know in the world of police officers, they can do whatever. This is about knowing your rights. They can demand as much as they want.
You don't have to.
Correct. Because the Fourth Amendment protects you against unlawful searches and seizures. So if they want to get a hold of your footage, they need a warrant.
Exactly. So, and I know that too, coming from DC, where we have a lot of federal government buildings. We have a lot of federal government sites that you're not supposed to know that they're federal government buildings. I've been asked multiple times in DC while I'm out just taking pictures, what are you taking pictures of? Now, back then I didn't know. So I'm like, I'm taking pictures of this fucking statue. Well, there's a federal building, so and so behind there. You can't take pictures of that building.
Yes, you can.
Like, okay. And then even in New Orleans, I had that on Gravier Street.
Gravier. There's the federal courthouse.
Right. And I was taking pictures out there because they have like some of the old courthouses and they have nice statues and shit like that. Taking pictures out there. I was followed a half a block by security. Again, asking, where you taking pictures of? You can't take pictures of this.
All right, so let me tell you where I see.
Oh, and they bought up this one right here, the one in New Orleans. This was I knew a little more. I still didn't know, but I'm like, why? Explain to me why I can't take pictures of these statues or whatever. So then they start kicking around the Patriot Act, 9/11. Terrorism and shit like that, and that was about the extent of that conversation.
Right. Well, I was about to say, as far as courthouses are concerned, I almost see the logic behind that because you have witnesses going into places, but for me, if it's a witness that's been sequestered, they're not going to bring the witness into the front of the building anyway. But I kind of I can see where they were trying to go, but still they can't stop you.
Right. And so what I would suggest, and we're going to get into this in a few minutes, is if you're at a protest, especially, or you're filming police brutality, police interactions, live stream. If you have Instagram, live stream it, Facebook, live stream it, whatever, because it's being shown in real time on the internet, and then it's being saved to where they can't go in your phone and delete it. So another thing too, if you're using your phone, which most people are, if you're approached by law enforcement, lock your phone. That way,
Correct.
they cannot go in your Facebook app, your Instagram app. They can't even delete it if you're recording on your device because, again, they would need a warrant to get into your phone, and never under any circumstances unlock your phone for law enforcement. Apple just had that big case with the
Right.
shooters.
They wouldn't even they were found guilty, but Apple refused to open their phone.
Yep.
And Apple won that case because the federal government tried to get force Apple to unlock this phone, and Apple won.
Yep, Apple fought that shit. So again, live stream rather than recording it to your phone, because the one thing police can do is, they're not supposed to, but they can take your phone and break the bitch. I've had someone that got in an accident in St. James? It might have been St. James Parish. Where's all the plantations at?
They have a lot of them. St. James Parish, they do have like Laura Plantation.
Okay, that's where it was. So
well, hold up, time out, man. You ain't about to be out here talking about St. James Parish, man.
Airline Highway. Got into an accident.
Not airline.
It was on airline. Airline don't go through St. James?
River Road.
Well, one of them. Got into a damn accident and had a dash cam. The police officer knew the other driver who was at fault, and he said, well, let me see what happened on the dash cam. Deleted the footage.
Really?
So, I don't know who got ticketed or whatnot. But anyway, long story less long. You don't have to show them what you're recording. You are allowed to record the police. You are allowed to record police interactions anywhere that you are lawfully able to be. Now, do you care to explain what lawful
versus unlawful?
Lawful presence is.
Well, as
present.
We said at the top of the show, you have the right to be in public spaces. So if you're on the sidewalk protesting, and when I say public spaces, we said sidewalks, streets, and things of that nature, steps on government buildings. But when we say that, if you are obstructing the flow of traffic, you are not being lawful. If you are obstructing the egress and the ingress, meaning the way people get in and out of a building, that is not being lawfully present. You have the right to be there as long as you are not obstructing the flow of traffic, as long as you are not obstructing people getting in and out and carrying out their business in that. So you are there, you are present lawfully. If you're doing one of the things that I just said, if you're blocking people's ability to go into these places, if you are blocking traffic, you are not lawfully in that place.
Or in the case of our boy Kenny Stills, former New Orleans Saint, got arrested with a few other people for going on the property of the district attorney, of course, demanding justice for Breonna Taylor. And they got arrested just for stepping foot onto his property. I believe they might have even been sitting there posing no threat, but still, they were trespassing. This was his person,
right? And that's what goes back to what we said about personal property. As long as it's public, you're good. If this is personal property, every woman has the right to say who can and cannot be on their property. So the minute that you step on somebody's property and they've not invited you, you are trespassing.
And then even if they ask you to leave after if you refuse, and you'll see that in businesses too, where they'll straight up be like, I'm sorry, but you
You
have
need
to
to
leave.
leave.
I ain't
Right.
going nowhere till I get my refund.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna call the police, ma'am
Right.
or sir. Call
Right.
them then. Call them.
Right.
Every single time I've ever seen that situation play out, the police remove the person from. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, come on, just save everybody the trouble. They're kicking you out.
Leave. Right.
Leave.
Right.
So that's
Leave.
lawfully present.
Right.
And
Being lawfully present as opposed to not being present lawfully. Right.
now going into organizing a protest, right? There's young lady, I can't remember her name. She's facing up to 15 years in jail now for organizing a Black Lives Matter protest.
Where she do it at?
It was in California. It was in a I'm gonna have to pull up the article, but it was somewhere in California. It was an affluent suburb,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe there
Oh
was
wait, so she went on. It was a private property.
no.
Did they block the street?
There was some vandalism. There was some property destruction, not by her, but by people who attended, and they are holding her accountable for the acts of them.
So did she? So she organized it. Did they have to get a permit?
That I'm not sure, but let's talk about that while I look it up. Do you need a permit to do a protest?
Not if you are not going to be blocking anything. So once again, going back to what I said earlier, you do not need a permit to organize a protest. You could be walking down the street and start talking to a couple of people, and y'all start walking down the street together saying Black Lives Matter. You don't need to have a permit. But if you are parading and you are expecting a large amount of people, and those people are going to block traffic, if you're going to block sidewalks and impede people's ability to move around, getting a permit is going to help you with your legitimacy. So cops can't come and say, oh, you have to stop because you're blocking traffic or you're doing this. If you have this permit gives you the ability to do so, then you're good. But technically you don't need a permit. And if they do require you to have a permit, and the cost of the permit is exorbitant, then they may be impeding your right. Any government structure that demands that you have a permit to do something like this, to protest, they also have to have a mechanism wherein they can waive that fee.
Right. So basically, your rights might cost you, but if you can't afford it, boom.
Right.
So here's the article right here. I'm going to just kind of skim through it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Social media is coming to the aid of Tiana Arada, a California Black Lives Matter organizer who was arrested after a protest last month. And now this was a couple months ago. She was arrested in San Luis Obispo.
San Luis Obispo.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, heard it both ways. In July, according to a statement released by authorities, the police chief contacted the 20-year-old before they protested to ensure that it would be peaceful. That protest ended up turning into a march of about 300 people that blocked Highway 101 and stopped traffic for nearly an hour. A passenger vehicle was allegedly damaged and its rear window was smashed, with the glass falling on a 4-year-old passenger in the back. So Tiana was later arrested as protesters began to leave. After a 2-week-long investigation, They filed 5 felony charges against her, including 4 felony counts of false imprisonment and 1 felony count of conspiracy. She was also hit with 3 misdemeanor charges.
What was the conspiracy charge? To commit?
Not sure. Resisting, 3 misdemeanor charges: resisting or obstructing a peace officer, inciting a riot, and unlawful assembly. Even though the assembly was lawful because she talked to the police chief.
Yeah, well, it was unlawful because they blocked
the highway. So to finish up here, her supporters and many on social media believe that she shouldn't be held liable for something an individual or a few individuals did, and she faces up to 15 years in prison if convicted on all charges.
Okay.
So, and she just turned 20 years old like the month before this happened. So we're talking about a fucking kid.
All right. So let's go back to something that we've talked about before. And many of you should recall, because we have talked about this before, how if you are involved with a group of people. So, for example, if Dan and I and Becky decide to rob a bank, and
I'm not going to be the getaway driver because the getaway driver gets as much time as the rest of the people.
See, this is where I'm going with this. So Dan and Beck and I decide we're going to rob a bank. And so we go in, and we say no guns, don't bring any guns in. We're not, because we're not trying. And if we have these guns, no ammo, because we just want to scare them into giving us the money, X, Y, and Z. So we go in like Queen Latifah and set it off. We go in there like set it off, and Beck jump out the bag, and she actually brought a loaded gun into the bank, and she shoots people, and 3 people die.
Because that sounds like some shit she would do.
So we get caught. What are we going to be charged with? Well, Becky's the one that pulled the trigger. We didn't know that Becky was going to bring a gun with live ammo. We didn't know that Becky was going to pull the trigger because prior to, we said, we're going to go in there, we're going to steal this money, no loss of life, don't bring any ammo, whatever. But we were in the midst of committing a felony. Someone died. All of us. We did not pull a trigger, Dan and I, but all of us can be charged with anything and everything that happened in the commission of this crime. So, going back to your 20-year-old organizer, they knew who she was because she organized the protest. Mm-hmm. And apparently she went and she got it okayed with the cops, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So she was the organizer. It was supposed to be a peaceful protest, as the article said, but they blocked traffic. Somebody acted stupid and they busted out this window. Someone got injured. They also, in the midst of committing this damage to the property, they held these people. That's where did they say like unlawful arrest or hostage? What was it?
It was false imprisonment.
False imprisonment. That's where that comes from, because they held these people up and then damaged their properties. So even though she didn't know that this was going to turn out that way, she didn't know that these people were going to do what they did, she is on the hook for it because, one, she's the person that they knew, because she's the person that actually, I'm going to assume, applied for permitting and whatever else they needed. So she is inevitably going to be the one that the buck stops with.
Now, in my estimation, if I had to guess, all charges are going to be dropped. They're just doing this to try to make a statement,
Mm-hmm.
especially California being as liberal as
As
a
it
place.
is. Probably. I mean, had someone lost their lives, it would probably have been a different situation. The fact that these people actually had damage, now that might be one that she may not be able to escape, because the people actually did suffer some property damage. So they may actually drop everything except those
So I guess
charges.
this is the sidebar then. The sidebar is the glass was broken, fell onto a 4-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we supposed to feel sorry for that 4-year-old?
Wait, what?
I thought I was clear. I'll ask again. Are we supposed to feel sorry for that 4-year-old that got the glass broken and landed all over him?
What do you mean, are we supposed to feel sorry for the 4-year-old? I guess because the way that your
Are we supposed to say that?
like your terminology and your tone suggests that you're not going you're not trying to feel for this 4-year-old.
That I guess that's what I'm asking.
No, that was like I said.
Am I supposed to feel? No, but in all honesty, when I say that, are we supposed to say, yo, that's fucked up. They shouldn't have done that shit. That's foul. They shouldn't have done that. That's just going too far. Like, where do you draw the line?
At involving innocent people.
So Reginald Denny, that's where the line should have been drawn?
Let me tell you something. Those people who were driving on the freeway did not get in their car, and I'm sure, I don't know if this was a man or a woman that was driving. I'm more than sure that the driver did not get in their car, strap their 4-year-old in their car seat, and say, let's drive into the middle of a protest and get ourselves caught up and get the car get the car windows broken and my child injured. That was not their intent when they left their house.
I mean, Jacob's intent was not to get shot in the back
All
7 times in front of his kids.
Collateral damage is not a good situation, especially when, that is one thing that Jacob Blake's family, George's family said the same thing. Breonna's family said the same thing. Ahmad's family said the same thing. Trayvon's mom said the same thing.
I'm rolling with his step pops though. His step pops said, "Burn this bitch down."
The thing is, violence begets violence. That's something that we know always, and that's the reason why Gandhi did what he did. That's the reason why Dr. King did.
Gandhi was a piece of shit.
Wait, why was Gandhi a piece of shit, man?
Have you read like all of the sexual misconduct?
Man, look, Dr. King too.
Man,
I'm saying
he was just being.
I'm saying Dr. King too. If that's the case, Malcolm too. If that's the case, I'm saying these people.
Brother Malcolm.
These people are men, and they are fallible. Men are not perfect.
Men don't rape children.
That was only one perfect man who walked the earth, Jesus Christ.
Men don't rape children.
All I'm saying is this.
But
okay, they said. They did things that were not acceptable. They did things that were shameful, but conceptually, what they espoused can't, you can't shit on it. It's like.
So you're saying that doesn't take away from the message or the act?
It shouldn't.
No,
here's
my example.
It does for the most part, but it shouldn't.
Here's my example. All right. R. Kelly stands up for the dogs that Michael Vick abused, right? And then R. Kelly pisses on 13 and 14-year-olds.
But people are still listening to R. Kelly's music.
Yeah, they are. But people
are still listening to Michael Jackson's music.
Damn right. I'm always listening to Mike.
Listen to what you're saying.
Listen to Mike.
So, but he's sleeping with 11-year-old boys.
I don't know.
See, look, see, here you go.
I don't know.
See what I'm saying?
I ain't seen no concrete proof, but
so did you see concrete proof for Gandhi? Did you see concrete proof for Malcolm? Did you see concrete
wait,
proof?
Malcolm ain't never done shit either. Malcolm good money in my book.
What?
In my book, he good money.
See?
So anyway, if you get your rights violated, and this is also something that we're all very used to, and
ACLU has a hotline.
They do. I got to make one more turn back into a different sidebar.
Oh, jeez.
Because this one struck me again in that monologue this morning that I listened to, right? Would you, not knowing me, assume that I came from a background, a family that has money?
Okay, so seeing you in the setting that you're in, or like seeing you in the hood?
No, seeing me, like, let's say on a job, you don't know me, you just know me in passing.
Mm-hmm.
With limited information, would you say I came from a family that has money?
I wouldn't say that you were raised dirt poor. I wouldn't say, like, before I knew anything about you, I looked at you and I was like, it wasn't, he was raised dirt poor and went to bed hungry. Looking at a lot of people in our office, it wasn't like, because appearances for the most part are very deceiving.
Nah, not when the ones peacock. Some of them peacock up in that bitch, and they be like Gucci. Nah. So yeah, I learned today that is the perception of somebody that I work with, that I come from money. And then it went into this whole thing like, I'm not guilty. I don't feel guilty for being white. Just like, it's not my choice. I didn't choose this. I didn't, just like, you growing up. I mean, you don't know what it's like to be poor, and it's not your fault. You shouldn't feel guilty that you come from a stable household and have money. And I'm like, how long you know me?
Yeah, see, but the thing is, you do the same thing to me.
But I do that on purpose.
You swear up and down that I've never known want in my life.
I do that on purpose, but this person actually believes that.
But the thing is, you're saying that you do it on purpose. There are a lot of people that look at me and think that what you say is true, that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, that I've never known, I've never gone to bed hungry, that I've never known want.
That's why I do it, to confirm their suspicions.
There are people out there who believe that.
Man, I don't even know where that came from. Like, that's the only thing he said today that made me jump back. Like, whoa, I come from a good upbringing and money. Where that shit at then?
It's because he doesn't know.
I know.
But that's his perception, and as I've always said,
and I'm well educated, college degrees. I'm like, shit, I went to college too. Glad I ain't got no student loan debt.
Perception is reality.
I like it because one thing I said about moving from DC to down here, nobody knows me, and I can feed bits and pieces of information to people, especially employers. No one knew that I was a high school dropout. No, and really, unless we're talking big time company, there's really no way to verify that I did not graduate from T.C. Williams High School, whatever. So that was just interesting. So anyway, violations of your rights, something that we're used to. It's commonplace for us. We go through it a lot, and it's almost to the point where we're numb to it, and it's normal.
It is normalized in communities of color, because we constantly run into the police. We are over policed,
right?
And so it is normalized.
So at the protest, if you're doing everything lawfully and the police come out and basically try to shut you down, start beating people's asses, start shooting the tear gas, what are some of our options here?
All right, so we talked about evidence. video evidence and pictorial evidence, documentation. Dan said earlier about going live on social media. Actually having something tangible that you can show in order to show how your rights were violated. Thing is, police officers start lodging tear gas, and they start beating you with batons and throwing you in the back of paddy wagons and all this other stuff. There's really not a lot that you can do. You can resist, but
even if you ain't resisting, they gonna charge you with resisting.
Right. So in the end, they arrest you. Let them arrest you and do it peaceably. Let them arrest you, but document as much information as you can about what they were doing, what you were doing, what the people around you were doing at the time. And then I think Dan said it earlier, never talk to the cops. The very first thing you should always do, and I don't care what the hell the police says, lawyer up. And do it in a manner that they cannot doubt that you are actually invoking your right to counsel. You know that whole lawyer dog thing?
Right. So basically, I would like a lawyer. Period.
Correct.
That's
period.
It. And some other things to add. Now, these are things that I was brainstorming that I thought of. If you're going to a protest, right? One, let somebody know where you're going to be. Even if it's like a 4-block radius. Look, I plan on being in this section. iPhones, they have share your location. Share your location with some people. I know a lot of people don't like to do that for privacy reasons, but in this case, share your location. Another one is this is, again, brainstorming, not thought all the way through, but get a shirt that has your social media tag, your social media name on it. For me, I am Dan on drugs, front and back. That way, if something's happening to me over in a corner that somebody else is filming, there's hundreds or thousands of people there. They're not going to know who the fuck I am. But on my shirt, it says I am Dan on drugs. Somebody's going to have the thought, yo, that's I am Dan on drugs or whatever. So I thought about t-shirt with your social media tag, your phones, again, live stream. Keep one of those little USB power banks with you too, in case your phone starts to die.
And I've seen you say that. I'm laughing because I've seen that a lot on TV. Like these people are videoing. You see the USB cable coming, and they have the power banks, and I'm like, that is smart because you don't think to do that, but that is smart. And just like Representative John Lewis carried his backpack before the world, have some supplies for real. That's real. That is something that he said, and it stands today. When you get placed in the cell, you're not going to have access to a lot. You know what I'm saying? You're not.
So what's in our bug out bag for protest? So we got our cell phone, maybe even a backup cell phone if you got like an old one that you can just use for a camera. We got our USB power bank. We got water. We got our masks for COVID. I mean, if you got masks for tear gas. So what else? What else we got?
You know what? All jokes aside, have in your phone, we mentioned the ACLU, numbers to like your local ACLU, numbers to your local representatives, right? Numbers to like a local lawyer's office, things that can help you out in the midst. You have your phone, you have the ability to use your phone. Have these things in your phone. And if you don't necessarily have your phone, cards, cards with all of these important numbers on them, cards that you may be able to give to someone else with numbers for like your parents or whatever else, if you can't make a call, a card that you can give to somebody else and say, could you please call
This
this
person.
person on the list, on this card for me, let them know X, Y, and Z, stuff like that. Smart.
And the number for the ACLU, this is their main number, 212-549-2585. I put in the show notes too. In my bug out bag, I'm gonna have me some water. I'm gonna have some milk too.
Oh, tear gas.
Yeah, some milk, some
Pepper
water.
spray. Yeah.
I'm gonna have some pepper spray my damn self too. Did you see in whatchamacallit, they drive by pepper spray them paintball?
Right, and they were patriots.
Right.
And it was fine for them to do that, just like it was fine. See, that's, you know what? Let me go on my little tangent sidebar. So, this 17-year-old with an AR-15 walks down the street
In Kenosha.
He is a young white man. He's walking down the street with a semi-assault weapon. The cops are passing him by, tossing him water. He has his hand held up. His hands held up.
Here I am, take me. Yeah.
He has his hands held up like, I'm not touching my weapon, and they pass by. So, drop a young black man in that same situation walking down the street. Do you think that the police would have passed him by?
Yeah, they would have after they shot his ass. they would have.
So it's like, just like Jacob Blake's father says, that was a testament to the justice system, the two forms of justice that we have in the United States. As I'm watching this, and I'm watching this in disbelief. And you put something on Twitter as well that I watched and just shook my head, because that same cop, the tweet that you put with the black man, I think it was Walmart's parking lot, where they tackled him down to the ground. The man had his hand up and they tased him.
Yeah.
Right. And then they kicked him. And then that same cop stopped the white man in the lifted pickup truck. Did you put that? You put that tweet out there?
I put a piece of that video out showing the black man complying and getting jump kicked in his back after they missed with the taser. And then he turned around like, yo, what the fuck? And they just started beating the hell out of him. Turns out that they had a warrant out for someone's arrest that fit his description.
We all fit the description.
So now that dude got charged with resisting arrest. That was it. He wasn't the right person, got charged with resisting arrest after, charges got dropped, but still, it's like,
yeah,
man, that, and then the white folks driving by, the Trump supporters, and this is one of the times where I'm not estimating that these are Trump supporters. They said that they're are
Trump supporters.
Drove by shooting paintballs at people, pepper spraying people. Ask how many of those. Now this is all on video too. Much like when they were shooting at the media, the police were shooting at the national media. How many of them got pulled over and stopped? Like,
not one.
If that was a Black Lives Matter protest and we was riding through shooting paintballs, immediately we might even get shot.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And once again, from my understanding, the police officers were handing them bottled water and telling them, great job. And Donald Trump spoke about that, I don't know when it was. He spoke about that particular situation, and he applauded them as
patriots.
As everybody, every other Trump supporter, they were patriots because they were doing what law enforcement refused to do. They were protecting the citizens and property.
That's the America we live in. So in closing, shutting down a protest. If you are protesting, the police cannot shut you down unless there is a clear and present danger.
Correct. Unless they see rioting. And that's the thing. Something else that we didn't touch on that we definitely need to touch on are outside agitators, people coming in specifically to get the protest shut down.
For
Because
instance, the guy in where was it? This is a damn shame because so many have happened. There was a video of these white guys setting an auto parts store on fire.
oh wait, that was George.
George Floyd?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was. That was George.
And it's people like those. Those are the outside agitators that do shit to make the people that are peacefully protesting look bad and
Correct.
get attacked.
Correct. And that is absolutely correct. But continue. I believe you were talking about
That was it.
things.
The agitators, they come in. So if there's a Black Lives Matter protest, we know that there's a lot of white people at these protests, which we really do appreciate. We appreciate the support and y'all being there. But it also makes it easy for another white person who does not necessarily believe in that Black Lives Matter, start smashing windows. And sometimes all it takes is one or two people.
That's right.
And next thing you know, you got mayhem out there.
That's correct. And it's always reflective of the movement.
Right.
And that goes back to your 20-year-old Californian.
It's
reflective of the movement.
The other one was in Charlotte too. But anyway, they can't shut you down unless there's a clear and present danger. Sometimes they will place a clear and present danger to get you shut down.
Correct. That is one of that's one of the things that law enforcement loves to do in order to shut down a protest.
If they do shut you down, they need to give you a reasonable amount of time to clear out. They can't just say, yo, this shit shut down, and then 2 minutes later start pepper spraying and tear gas. A reasonable amount of time, and they need to provide a clear and unobstructed path for you to leave. So that's basically the only way they can shut you down. Or again, if you're blocking traffic, as we said earlier, you're blocking.
And then even then, if you're blocking traffic, what the police officers should do is tell you to move on the side of the street, the sidewalk, or move so that the cars or the foot traffic that you're blocking can go through. They should not stop you from protesting.
And don't sign anything if police start, again, shutting down, arresting people. I've seen this at least twice where they said you don't have to go to jail if you sign whatever the hell was in that document, and people were signing it because they didn't want to go to jail. They were essentially admitting guilt and saying they were going to show up and doing all this other shit. So don't sign anything. Don't say anything. Don't give consent to search your person or your belongings. And I mean, the only thing police can do, they can pat you down if they suspect that you have a weapon, which means
they can pat you down
if
forever.
You're black. Yeah.
Right. Basically, that is the thing. I mentioned earlier in the show about the Fourth Amendment and your right against unreasonable search and seizure. They have to have probable cause. They can't get around probable cause. Just because you're a party to a protest does not give them probable cause to search your person. So,
unless you're black,
we talk about having a bug out bag and things in your bag and things to bring to a protest. Don't bring anything that in law enforcement's eyes can be weaponized. Even though we know a pencil can be a weapon, but don't bring a knife. Honestly. And that's something and I say that because I carry a backpack, and in my backpack I have a knife. And I've carried a knife with me in my backpack since I was like 16 years old. I don't go anywhere without it.
How many times have you used it?
None.
So it's basically like an umbrella just in case it rains.
That's correct. You always want to be prepared. So, and actually one time I got it taken away because it's with me all the time. I never think about it. And the very first time I ever flew, my favorite knife got taken from me
See?
at the little what are those people?
TSA.
Yeah, at TSA, because I mean, I put my bag on a little belt and walk through like wham. And then the lady told me to step to the side. And I was
And
like,
you probably thought you was about to get upgraded to first class.
no, I didn't. Actually was fearful because I'm like, what the? I was about 18 and I'm like, why? Because I watch TV. I know when the people pull you off to the side, it's not a good situation. So, the lady actually came, put on some gloves.
That's a wrap.
And told me that she was gonna have to pat me down. And I asked her why, and they said they found the knife in my bag. And when she said that, I was like,
OJ didn't do it.
man. But yeah, so when you go, I understand that, you think about protecting yourself. I get that. But you don't want for them to have any reason to haul you in. You don't want them to have any reason to say, see, they're supposed to be peaceably protesting and they brought this and that and whatever. No reason. So you don't want to give them a reason. And as Dan likes to say, just being black is a reason. We don't want any more reasons on top of that. So
true that. So this has been another informative episode of Black Law and Legalized. Like, look, y'all, check us out on YouTube, man. We need to get our YouTube subscribers up. We've had a YouTube page for like a year and a half that don't really promote, don't really do nothing with other than post videos and hope y'all find them. But yeah, follow us on YouTube too at Black Law Podcast.
Well, I thought YouTube is what it was supposed. That's all we're supposed to do. Put videos up there so people can find them.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to point people in the direction, but we never do. Keep up with us all social media platforms at Black Law Podcast. You can keep up with me, and I'm telling you, like I said, I'm on Twitter all day, son. At I am Dan on drugs.
And I'm just Dan. And thank you very much. And I hope we have informed you. I mean, honestly, I tell y'all this all the time. Even though I am not a social media maven, if you DM me or you say something to me on Twitter, I will respond. And I will do so expeditiously.
Except if your name is at CEO Hayes
Lies
and you
and
asking
garbage.
for a audio bit that somebody was supposed to send.
Let me tell you something. I apologize for that. I apologize. That was like a year ago. I apologize for that. Did I not?
Yeah, but you missed this anniversary too.
Wait, nobody ain't asked me for nothing.
See, because he said, shit, you ain't do it last year. Fuck, I'm gonna ask you this year for. Peace out.